in the truck with the trailer on our way somewhere kind of dangerous. Oh, we are on our way to Petals from the Past to meet up with our friend Tracy Bridal. While we were gone on vacation, she took care of all of Zach's seed starts that he has started for our Potager Garden and our row crop garden for this spring, and we are finally getting those back from her. It's been a couple of weeks and they are huge plants already. I cannot wait to see them. We're also going to be perusing Petals, and we're going to show you where the YouTuber meet and greet is going to be. You'll get to see that space. And I have a list. Do you have a list?
I do. I've got a list up here.
I have a list of things that I would like to pick up, and so does Zach, and I bet Eleanor does too. So we're excited to take you along for that today. And on our way, we thought we would show you Zach planted 4 varieties of potatoes in a special bed that he built about 3.5 weeks ago. And so you are going to get to see prepping, planting, and how they're doing.
All right, farm friends, let's take a look at the potatoes that we've got that we're going to be planting this week, because it is officially time to plant potatoes here in central Alabama. We've got 4 different varieties of potatoes that we're going to be planting this year. We have the Yukon Gold, we have the Norland Red, we have the Kennebec, and we have Purple Majesty. Now I've got, let's see, 20 pounds of seed potatoes here, and they're pretty much ready as is to go in the ground. We could put them in just like they are. Look, you can see they're even starting to sprout. Some people call that chittin with a CH. But you could put them in the ground just like they are, and they would probably grow potatoes as long as they've got everything that they need through the growing season. But we're going to take one more step to try and get the most out of our seed batch that we've got, or at least a little bit more than we might get otherwise. What we're going to do is we're going to look at our potatoes. We're going to find all of the eyes that are starting to sprout on this potato, and we're going to find some sections where it has at least 2 or 3 eyes, and we're going to cut this potato so that there are 2 halves that have 2 to 3 eyes on it. That way it'll stretch our seed potatoes so that we can plant more. They just don't need the whole potato's worth of nutrition there to get going. I've also heard that it can help reduce the risk of rotting before they really take off if you cut the potatoes, because there's less of that moisture trapped there. But also, I've also heard that potatoes tend to get bigger if they're grown from a potato that's been cut. So those are just things that I've heard. A couple of those things I heard from the folks at Haas, like they make bigger potatoes if you cut them, and that it'll stretch the seeds. And those folks know what they're talking about, so I'm going to follow up with what they're doing. Last year I did not cut my seed potatoes, and they all rotted. I think it was because my ground was too wet, not just that I didn't cut them. But we're going to go ahead and cut them now, and I'm going to show you just how I'm going to cut these before we put them in the ground, and also I'm going to tell you what the steps are for that process as well. So here is 5 pounds of Yukon Gold seed potatoes. Right here we've got 3 eyes, here we've got 2 eyes, there's another one there and another one there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a spot right in between those two areas, and I'm just going to cut it just like that. And so now there's 3 eyes at least on that one, at least 4 on that one, and so that's what we're going to do. We're going to cut them up so that they have multiple eyes on each little piece. And then I'm going to put them back in the bag for now, but what we're going to do when we're done cutting them up is we're going to lay them out in a dry area that has good ventilation and lots of light. So we got all of our Yukon Golds cut. Next, we're going to cut our Kennebec. Red Norland. check that out. Isn't that so cool? Man, these are amazing. I think Eleanor is gonna have a fit over these. So we're gonna plant a bunch of these. I may see if I can get more than just 2. I know that I can. Look at all those eyes. So let's cut up a bunch of them. Man, that is such a super cool looking potato. We got our seed potatoes cut up, and I have laid them out under the lights here, and they are going to start healing up. Those areas that we cut will be healing up. They'll get like a skin over them so that they won't be as prone to rot in the ground.
I'm feeling this one and this one might already have tough skin.
Good, good. Why don't you put it back under there, and we'll tuck them in for the night, and we'll check on them in the morning. Today, we're planting potatoes. So I measured it earlier, and I've got about 24 feet of bed space here, and Jaclyn wants the bed to be about 5 feet out from the wall. Luckily, I've got a bunch of compost left over from another project that we're working on that I can put in this spot to build this bed out immediately. So this is going to be perfect for potatoes. Since we've got that 24 feet and 5 foot depth, I can pull in my rows just a little bit so that I can get 2 rows in there of about 36 seed potatoes. Now, I've got my fingers crossed that we'll get 3 to 5 pounds of potatoes from each of those seed potatoes. Maybe that's asking too much, but who cares? We're going for it. I'm gonna lay down some butcher paper here in front of this wall and then put down the compost. So that takes care of the dirt that we gotta get in here, and it takes care of the weed barrier. But we also need to line the outside of the beds with something to make a barrier to hold our dirt in, to keep weeds from encroaching, and also to define the beds. We've got a ton of these big beams that have been cut down of wood. It's what we're going to use to line our potager garden beds with, and I'm going to go ahead and build a small bed with these for our potatoes. Now I think that's looking pretty good, if I do say so myself. I have an idea to save some of the compost. Old spent hay. And by spent, I just mean its better days are behind it. It's old, it is not the kind of hay that our goats like, so we're gonna use it in garden beds this season instead of for animals. And I think it's gonna work really well to be that first layer in the potato bed. What do you think, Eleanor? I think she agrees. We've got a pretty good layer of hay going here. I think it's time that we go ahead and bring in the compost. Now it's time to put some taters in the ground. We got about 20 minutes until sunset. Let's see if we can get this done.
We're here! We made it! It is super chilly and it's windy, But we brought Miss Tracy some lunch. We were supposed to have a picnic, but we got really hungry on the way.
Sorry, Tracy.
Got a second pair of hands back there for a second cart. And Eleanor is with Tracy.
You never know what those two are going to come up with.
Zach is going to get me 2 coral drift roses. And I have a beautiful climbing rose that Tracy helped me pick. And then I'm gonna get this winter honeysuckle. The bees love it and it gets pretty big. And what I'm doing is picking out foundational plants. That is heavier than I thought it was. I'm picking out foundational plants for in front of all of our buildings. I want to start putting in those foundational larger plants now, early in the spring, so they can get really well rooted before our brutal summers. And then I can also start filling in around those plants once I have my structure in place. If good friends don't encourage you to spend a little bit too much money sometimes.
I know. On plants?
On plants.
Yes.
It's fine if it's on plants.
That's right.
So I've got 4 plants. They all cost $4.
And what does that equal?
16.
So you got $16 in plants. What kind of plants did you get?
So I got this one,
Sweet William.
Sweet William.
That's a dianthus. Want to go in there? There you go.
I got Sweet William, and then I got this one.
You remember what it is? You told me.
Oh, Yarrow.
Mm-hmm. Yarrow.
We've got some Yarrow that I picked out because it looks really pretty. This one I forgot what it's called again.
Rose Campion. Is that like Rose Campion?
Rose Campion.
I looked that one
I
up.
got 2 of these because Mom said they have pretty red flowers.
I like it. Isn't Petals from the Past a beautiful place?
And I'm still picking out more.
You're still picking out more.
Yeah.
Well, a girl that loves
I'm
plants.
trying to get a lot for my fairy garden.
Oh, for your fairy garden, okay. Have you gotten everything on your list today?
No.
No, not even
No,
close.
Not even close.
Me either.
It's going to take about 12 trips to get what's on this list.
And every time I come, you add more things to my list.
That's my job.
Loading it all up. Tracy's got her little stash over here. He just got one of our new tools working for me and ready to go. But we went to Petals on Tuesday and it's currently Thursday. And so yesterday we worked on the farm, Got a lot of stuff done. Zach's been working on his greenhouse project. And if you are watching this video on Friday, I think it's the 17th of March, Zach is having surgery today. And we appreciate your thoughts and your prayers. He is going to be just fine. He's a more private person and doesn't want to share the details of this outpatient surgery, but he is going to be great. He'll have probably 2 weeks without heavy lifting or any strenuous activities, and then he'll be right back out here on the farm with me. So for the next few weeks, you're just going to be seeing me for the most part, and Eleanor. But he just got this tool ready for me, and it is a handheld auger, and we had one in the past and it just broke beyond repair because we used it so much. So we've gone ahead and invested in a new one because we have fences we want to build and lots of plants to plant in some really tough ground, and this is going to help me a ton. Let me show you what I worked on pretty much all day yesterday. We are at the shop, and what I worked on was getting this bed installed. Sorry if the wind is bad. It is blowing today and it feels so nice. It is 71. But here is this beautiful garden bed. We've got a curved corner over here with stacked stone and another curve over there connecting to our potato bed that you saw Zach plant. I don't know if I actually ever mentioned this, but it's our spring break, and Zach and I are off work this week along with Eleanor being out of school. And so that's one reason he scheduled surgery this week. But we've been able to accomplish a lot leading up, and I still have some projects to finish through the weekend. This has been a big project on our list, to get these foundational beds and this transitional space planted out so that it can start becoming established before we hit our super hot summers that we have. And last year we had 2 very long droughts, and we're preparing for that again, and we want to make sure that we are able to water these spaces as well. So we're already thinking about irrigation, water, how we're going to handle that. I don't know about anybody else, but I can't work with my hair down. That's better. I have been running errands all day, and I don't know how far I'm gonna get. I'm probably gonna be putting plants in the ground in the dark, and that's okay. I am gonna go ahead and auger a hole over here for our big blue point juniper. That took me less than 3 minutes from the time I cranked it to the holes being dug. I dug 4 holes. It's important to pull back up as you're digging, otherwise you're just gonna take your auger and screw it down into the ground, and that's it. And there's not a reverse. And so then you have to dig your auger out. Ask me how I know that. So we love that tool. It has made fences, planting things that need to go deeper, and we have thick Alabama clay, and there's a lot of gravel in our ground up here in the backyard. Really worried that I didn't dig my hole deep wide enough. That's always a struggle, but I did. Because our soil quality is not great over here and the topsoil that we picked up locally is very sandy, we are going to be using black cow compost in every hole that we put a larger plant, just to help it get more established. And I'm mixing a little bit of the native soil, whatever is around it, with the black cow, so it's not just black cow. It's what Tracy Britnell and Jason Powell over at Petals from the Past Nursery have always recommended that we do. I'm trying not to touch the top of this plant because it will make me very itchy if I get poked a lot by it. I've broken up the root ball. It's very root bound from being in that pot, which most things are from any nursery. You got that good and broken up?
Oh, this could be the best thing that I'll ever know. Talk for hours, I never slept. Two silhouettes on the concrete steps. We watched the sun as it slowly crept from the horizon to the place we met. Oh, this could be the best.
Tracy said a blue point juniper would be beautiful against the color of your shop. And I knew she was right. With everything we've been through with our house, we had to redo the foundation on it shortly after we moved in because of incorrect water drainage. I'm big on drainage. So I'm making sure that all of my beds are higher in the back, lower in the front, and we'll just monitor, since these are new, if we need to change anything. I love butterfly bushes, and I got two different varieties. This one is the purple cranberry. This one is called Cranberry, and then the other one I got is blue, and Tracy and I weren't sure if it's the light silvery blue or if it's a darker blue. This corner right here gets really nice full sun. So does this whole wall on this side. But where Peggy Martin is kind of my cutoff for full sun in this bed. In the bed that will be by the chick cottage, it gets full sun all at that corner, like here all the way to about here. And then the further you go back, the more hours of shade it has. I know I'm going to be putting at least two of these butterfly bushes over here in this area, and this one I believe is going to go right back here where I have another plant sitting. Right here where the wood starts the potato bed this direction, and we don't want to plant a lot in this bed right now because we're going to be digging it up to get the potatoes out. And it won't be too terribly bad digging it up, but we are going to tear into this bed, and so we don't want to plant anything foundational, anything perennial right now. That's going to come up really soon. It won't be that long until we harvest potatoes. On this wall of the shop though, this is that big open wall where our doors are down there that we've got to repair, and I've got to do some touch-up painting. Right here some posts fell and scrubbed across that part of the building, so I've got to touch up paint that. But right here we're going to be doing a really beautiful feature in the center of this wall. It's going to be a nice focal point, and actually there's going to be a curve that comes out right here, similar to what I've done on this corner with rocks. It'll cut into the bed a little bit and it'll curve out, and that is another Peggy Martin climbing rose, and we are going to have her go up this wall over here too. All right, I'm going to show you what we have laid out here, and this is not where these are going. This is Spirea Wreaths. It is Bridal Wreath Spirea, and it's what they used to make and do make bridal wreaths out of. It's a beautiful old-timey flower, teeny tiny little beautiful buds. They look like tiny chrysanthemums to me. This is gonna go somewhere on this wall. It may go about where it is because it'll become a bigger but spindly, bushy type plant. It'll stay more spindly like this, and so it's a nice accent to other fuller things around it. This is a climbing rose, and I don't know which one it is. Zach picked it out, and there's no tag on it. So I really don't know. I don't know which one this one is. This is an iris that I dug up at an old home place, and I actually set it in a pile, no dirt or anything on the ground right here 2 years ago, and it rooted and it spread, and I didn't want to take it out. I wanted to leave it. I don't even know what color this iris is. It'll be a big one. It'll be a big bearded iris, but I don't know. I can't wait to find out. I'm hoping it will flower this year. If not, maybe next year. Right here we have Sedum, and I really love this one. This one's Autumn Joy, and it says rose pink flowers in late summer, and I love it because it's a perennial and it's drought tolerant. At that same old home place, I dug up some sedum. I'm never gonna say that right. Some sedum, and every year I think it gets killed because it's in this little bitty pot on the back porch, and it just comes back and thrives year after year. So that's going there, and I'm gonna fill in here with perennials, something showy, colorful, because right now this bed is gonna be a lot of green, and so I want to fill in, except for when Peggy's blooming, of course, but it's gonna be a lot of green. We've got a lamb's ear right here. That'll be a very pretty ground cover, and it'll spread. Right here, I planted in something Eleanor picked out, and it's just white yarrow. I was really proud of her because she knew what yarrow was, and I've got it placed in here. And of course, the ornamental blueberries. There's 4 of those to go around Peggy Martin. And when they get bushier and bigger, they'll get 3 to 4 feet wide. And I'm probably gonna maintain them as somewhat of a hedge right here, add more curve structure. And I've got a lamb's ear right here. And because of the shop, the corner's right there, the sun kind of cuts across right here. So these two and this are not going to get as much sun, and I really don't want to put anything that's sun loving back here in this corner. So I'm probably going to pick up some more stuff that is just shade. I could put a hosta back here and it would be fine. We'll just see. Been thinking on that. But right now I'm really pleased with this bed and the way that it's looking. And once we get everything planted, we are going to come in and deep mulch everything. But that is going to be probably after Zach recovers, which will be perfectly fine. On this side, I do not have my bed cut yet. I'm going to be rolling out some weed mat along the building so that we don't get weeds growing up. And I'm not planting anything right against the building because the rocks are really thick. So I'm going to do weed mat all the way down and behind the chick cottage, and then I'll come out with butcher paper, and I'm going to cover this entire area in butcher paper, and I'm going to have a really nice curved bed. I don't want to get too narrow at the doorway, so I am going to, that is set back about 8 inches from the door. I'm going to do about the same over here, come to about here. The biggest thing in this bed, the centerpiece, is right here, which this is I think it's Southern Viburnum. Let's see what's on the tag. Viburnum Chinese Snowball. So not Southern Viburnum. I got this at Petals last year, and it flowered this year, and no, I haven't planted it. It's been living in a pot for a year, but guess what? It's done great. It's done so good. I'm really glad. It's going to be a little bit further out so that it gets more sun, but it is going to fill in this entire area. It's going to take a couple of years, but I am so willing to wait for that. It's going to be gorgeous. This is called Kiss Me at the Gate, and it needs full sun, and I don't think it's staying over here. I actually think this is going to go in front of the silky coop. It's really, really fragrant, and it's like honeysuckle. I think it's got, yeah, it's got a flower on it right now, and it really, really smells good. Tracy told me that one was a must, so I got it. Up here, we have some stuff left over from last year. This is a mini fig, Little Miss Figgy, and then this is jasmine, climbing jasmine. I've got a tea olive right here. Tracy told me I needed to get this one. This one is gonna get really big. This is a full-size one, but I can maintain it to be smaller. Y'all, it smells heavenly, heavenly, and I want more of these. We talked about that. I will probably get more, but I didn't want to get too many plants and not be able to get them into the ground in a reasonable amount of time. But I want to do a climbing rose right here because it gets full sun, and that climbing rose is going to be fairy. Oh, what is it? Oh, it's over here. It's over here. So over here, I've got my camellia. This is my camellia I planted last year. It's starting to bud out and come back. But right here, we've got washing since we took out a huge pampas grass. And so I'm gonna come in and do a curved bed here to meet this corner of these rocks and to meet this railroad tie. And I've got soft touch holly. It's wonderful. It's like teeny tiny boxwood almost, but it's soft touch holly. Tracy said this is a really great structure plant. And between them, I'm doing coral drift rose, and I have a coral drift rose that I planted there last year, and it was this size, and so that's what I'm expecting to happen over here too. It's gonna be beautiful. But I accidentally placed my little climbing rose over here instead of my other coral drift. So this is the fairy climber. It is a hot pink climbing rose. It's gonna go here and climb all up right here. I'll give her a trellis, some structure in there. This one is Van Hout's Spirea, and we have it in another area on the property. And it will go likely in front of the fairy climber. So this corner will be kind of dense. And then this direction, I'm gonna need to get some shade, partial sun plants to fill in around my snowball bush. There you have it. That is the plan. We have come such a long way in a very short amount of time, just working as we could. We get asked a lot, how do you keep your chickens and your ducks from eating your plants? And guess what? We don't. It has become a really big problem. I really have a lot of things that they don't like to eat. We have a lot of bulbs, a lot of irises, and they don't eat the iris leaves, but they do eat our cannons, and they eat anything tender and small. While we're planting more shrubs, there are some plants that we've got that they would go right for. And so I need to build a permanent fence across our property. We took one down in this area about a year ago. It was a chain link fence, but there was no gate, and so anything could just walk right through anyways. And so we really need a fence that's gonna keep them out. But I can't build a full-blown fence at the moment. That's gonna take time, that's gonna take planning, going to get materials, and Zach is just not up for that right now. And so we need a temporary solution so that we can start planting now. I bought 2 rolls of multi-purpose garden fence netting. It's 5 foot tall. So y'all know about how tall I am now. I'm about 5'6". And it's 100 feet long. I don't think I'm gonna need much more than 1 roll, but I know I'm gonna need a little bit more than 1. But we'll see how far this goes. I did not pre-measure. I'm going to set some T-posts in the ground, and I'm just gonna be using zip ties. And then I've got some existing posts already, and I'm just gonna be using a couple of staples. I don't want this to be really heavy duty. I don't need it to be very sturdy. I just need it to keep the chickens and the ducks out of the backyard for now. Are my problem children. Y'all, you can't come up here. You have a whole farm. You have a whole farm. And you want to be right here. Their favorite place to be is under the trampoline. and they come and they eat my plants. I love that they eat the bugs and everything in the grass, but they're killing my plants. Can't have that, babies. I need to very quickly go get this fence up. I am going to attempt only putting one T-post in on this side. Y'all, this is successful. 10 minutes of work, only set one T-post, and I have a very nice height fence over here, and I've got a little bit down here on the ground, hoping that helps deter them. I have a big problem. All the ducks are in the backyard right now, all of them, and I gotta shoo them to the pen. I put out some more feed, some scratch snacks, hoping that they'll go on. But let's see if I can get them to go. Let's go, ducks. Let's go, ducks. Come on, everybody, let's go. Let's go. All the chickens are in the pen. It's just all of you. Come on. Let's go, y'all. Duck. No, one duck. Come on. Go on, one duck. All right, everybody go. Everybody go to bed. Yay! All ducks are in here. Good night. Actually even gonna cut the material on this end. I'm gonna zip tie it to this T-post and make sure that gap is filled. There are wild bramble berries right here, and I don't want to get cut up by those. So now I need to go through and attach everything. That went really smoothly and quickly. Farm friends, thank you so much for hanging out with us over the last couple of days, going to Petals, planting those potatoes just a couple of weeks ago, and then getting these plants in the ground and putting up that fence to keep the chickens and the ducks out. We accomplished a lot in just a couple of days. I'm gonna go ahead and water everything that I planted, water all the plants that are in pots, clean up my tools, and I'm headed in for the night for dinner. Thank you so much for being with us. I hope that you have a blessed weekend, and we'll see you back on Tuesday for another video here at Head Family Farm. Y'all have a good one.
So I wanna take love right with you. You hold this map, I'll hold your hand. Take this love around the world.